Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. So, we all know that some bourbons come with sky-high price tags and really long wait lists, but which ones are actually worth the hype? Today, I'm breaking down 6 of the most coveted releases that I have and ask the question, do they really live up to the reputation that they have? Run the video. Alright then folks, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we talk a little bit about 6 highly allocated and expensive bourbons that I own and ask the question if they're really worth the hype. I'm very blessed and fortunate that I have these bottles, and it wouldn't be possible without today's sponsor, and that is Zbiotics. So Zbiotics has been almost a 2-year sponsor here on the Whiskey Cove, and why we like working together so much is because it really speaks to my values. As I'm getting older, I can't just be laying on the couch a day after drinking. I just can't do that anymore. I need to be active. I have kids. I like going to the gym. I need to be the best version of myself the next day. And that's really where Zbiotics comes in for me here. So Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tough rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's the blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So for all you viewers and subscribers, on the screen now you will see a QR code. If you want 15% off your order, scan that QR code or go down below in the description and you can click that link. It'll take you over to Zbiotics webpage there. All the information is down below. Thank you so much to Zbiotics for partnering with us on this video, and thank you to you folks for watching it too. Alrighty then folks, so we have 6 excellent bottles for you here. They are going to be ones that I personally believe are worth the money. We need to talk a little bit about price tag in terms of MSRP and kind of secondary. So I'm going to try to wade between the 2 price tags and then ask if it's worth the MSRP and ask if it's worth the secondary price. So let's start straight up. The 2024 release of Old Forester. What makes this Old Forester so good is the ABV and proof point. It is coming in at a 53.5% ABV or 107 proof. So it kicks up a little bit more in ABV and proof compared to something like the 2025 release, which is going to be like 92 proof. So this is over 100 proof. It kind of gets close to like the President's Choice, if you like, a little bit more higher ABV and proof. It smells fantastic. Huge cherry notes, very, very viscous on the palate. I love the mouthfeel. I would go as far as to say this 2024 release has probably been better than any of the presidential releases that I had from Old Forester. That might be a little controversial, but those who know me know that I really like to be around the 55% ABV proof point, ABV or 110 proof point, and I think this really smacks for that. I paid a whopping $300 for this. Would I pay $300 for it again? I think I would. MSRP is around about $175, $200. It did go up in recent times. Secondary market, you're probably looking around $600. So really at $300, I was above MSRP, but well below secondary. I don't think really I would pay $600 for this bottle. I don't think I would really pay $600 bottle for any bottle of whiskey, I should say. So that should be a little bit of a spoiler alert for what's to come. MSRP on this is a fantastic price. Again, I would go a little beyond that, $300. I wouldn't pay more than $300. $300 would be my absolute cap for this bottle. Heck, you know, we might even see that price point get to $300 in the next few years. I hope not. And I know I don't want to be a YouTuber that goes on to say that, when I go into a store, the MSRP and the price tag is $200, but then when I get to the register, they want to charge me $300 just because I would pay that. Heck, I would don't want to pay MSRP on every one of these, and if someone would switch the price up on me, that would be an issue there. But between us, awesome community that we have here, $300, it would be an absolute stretch, but I would pay that because that specific bottle, the 2024 release, is an absolute banger. Moving on. We have Old Fitzgerald. This is the 19-year release. So I got this, fortunately, in a lottery here in Colorado. I paid about $240 for it. Little more than MSRP. Secondary on these 19-year-old bottles stretch up to maybe closer to $700, $800. I wouldn't pay anywhere near the secondary. Very happy what I paid for the MSRP on this bottle. Would I pay over MSRP? No, I wouldn't pay a cent over MSRP. I would absolutely pick it up for MSRP. I know this is Old Fitzgerald's is the wheated bourbons, but it definitely has some similar tasting notes to an Elijah Craig 18. It has this kind of subtle, really cherry forwardness, but then like that oak tannin note there that's readily there. Some people say that these kind of higher aged Heaven Hill stuff can be over oaked. I don't think so. I think this is a really great balance between sweet cherry and oak. I'm also someone who does like higher age stated whiskeys at around 50 to 60% ABV or 100 to 120 proof. So use that as information when I'm talking about this bottle. This is coming in at a 50% ABV, 100 proof from the fall of 2022. Very happy that I was able to get it. I wouldn't pay a cent more than MSRP. So I wouldn't pay a cent more than the MSRP or the price that I paid for it. So let's say my price would be capped around $250. So I definitely wouldn't go there above that, just because at that point you're probably better off picking up the Elijah Craig 18 for about $170. But this does have an awesome bottle. The Old Fitzgerald bottles are just beautiful. As you can see, I've had it. I got this in 2023. I've drunk quite a bit of it, but you know, I've got a lot of whiskey to drink through. So it's always nice to have that bottle on the shelf. So I don't know if that's going to be going anywhere recently. Maybe if you have some friends around to celebrate something, then we might drink it down. But we have a few other bottles that we kind of need to drink through first. Let's delve straight into it. William Larue Weller. This one is the 66.8% ABV or 133.6 proof. Let's see if we can capture the laser code here. So this is the 2023 edition. As you can see, this thing is hanging on for dear life. MSRP is around $150 to now closer to $200. Back in 2023, it was around $125, $150. And secondary looking around $1,000 to $1,500. And again, at the beginning of the video, I said I wouldn't pay secondary for any of these bottles. That continues with this bottle. I wouldn't pay it for this. However, I did trade into this bottle, and I can't remember what I traded for. We did a video going back a while ago, and I can't remember what I did the trade on for me. So I might have traded the value to be closer to like $1,000, but I paid MSRP on the two bottles I believe that I traded it for. Maybe someone, if you can remember what it was, I can't remember. But I'm very happy that I was able to get this. I've been looking for this bottle for a long time. I know what it was. I believe it was Eagle Rare 17. I think that's the bottle that I traded for this, and maybe I may have threw in a kicker. But I paid MSRP for that bottle, so ultimately I paid more than $200 for this. Oh, man, you know, if you see this bottle on a shelf for $400, I think I'd pull the trigger on it. Yeah, I think I would, just because I just don't see it. You're never going to see it, right? You're only going to see it marked up in these crazy liquor stores for $1,000 or so. This is the epitome. This is a pinnacle of Buffalo Trace's wheated mash bill. It doesn't really get any better than this. And when Buffalo Trace have gone a little nuts with some of their new limited releases, like the Double Eagle Rare, the Weller Millennium, Weller 80, all these crazy things going for like thousands and thousands of dollars, they haven't really put the price up too much on the antique collection. And this is definitely a bottle of whiskey that I would 100% pick up for MSRP, and I would probably stretch to $400. And this is going to be gone soon, and it's going to be a very sad day. We didn't do so well in this last year's Christmas raffle. So two of the stores that I've been quite fortunate to get stuff in the last couple of years struck out a little bit. We did get a Van Winkle 10-year from Argonauts that we threw in the lottery. So I didn't really get anything this year apart from a George T. Stagg, but that was like a fall lottery. So we really stuck out in our Christmas lottery. We kind of had to really kind of improvise and do some really hard research to get this bottle. Like I said, I still paid over the odds for it. But again, I'm very fortunate. I'm not crying over spilled milk here, so to speak. Next up, and we have Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. So this bottle of whiskey is been a revelation. I've always known Jack Daniel's do some fantastic stuff. This is really just taking it on another level for me. This is coming in, this is the 124.3 proof, or 62.15. I know some of the Coy Hill stuff even go like hazmat and even then some. This isn't one of those, and maybe this is why I enjoy it so much. It's not so proof heavy, and I think for a lot of people who drink whiskey, we don't want hazmat whiskey, so to speak. Yes, Jack Daniel's do a great job at their high proof stuff, drinking really low compared to their high proof kind of ABV or proof point. But for me, I think this is where I want Coy Hill to be. It's fantastic. It's very kind of very, very, very sweet, but also has enough proof to cut through that sweetness. So drinkable, so rich, dark, kind of old-fashioned maraschino cherry notes. It's a phenomenal bottle of whiskey. You do get like a little bit of banana bread there too, but that just adds to the amazing like caramelness of the flavor here. I paid MSRP on this one, and I paid $79.99, which is quite insane for this bottle of whiskey. This is going back probably about a year ago now, maybe a little bit more than that, but very happy that I was able to get this. This is just a tag that I had around, and I just threw it on there. That means nothing. But yeah, $80, I would pay that all day long. I would pay probably about $200 for it. I think the secondary is about $350 on these. Maybe you can get the lower proof ABV ones for a little cheaper, and I would pay like $200 for this bottle of whiskey. That being said, I think as soon as you get to 200 and over, you're just better off just finding a good barrel proof, the Tennessee whiskey, the regular offering, because you can find very excellent versions of that, and you can also find the barrel proof ryes that come from the Coy Hill rickhouses as well. So that's a little insight for you there. But very happy that I was able to get that. I'll pay up to $200 for that if I was able to see that again. But since I was able to find it, I haven't been able to see it again, so that was the Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. Moving on, we have 2 bottles left, and we have Russell's Reserve 15. What a great bottle of whiskey, and probably the best distillate, the wild turkey of Russell's I've ever put out, that I've tasted at least anyway. This is coming in at 58.6% ABV or 117.2 proof. If you're a long-time subscriber on the channel, we did a great, massive live stream blind where we blinded the 13, the first edition. We blinded the 2, the Camp Nelsons, the first release and the second release. We blinded the Wild Turkey non-chill filtered, and this came out for me on top. A phenomenal, phenomenal whiskey. It has a lot of darker, woody notes to this, but it does have such a great mouthfeel that really aids the long finish that this bottle has. I don't think the 15 will ever be this good. I feel like the Wild Turkey, when they release these new age statements, the first release is always so much better than the subsequent releases, so that's why I've kind of been holding on to this. But just look at the color. That is some dark, seriously dark stuff. How much did I pay for this? This is where it gets a little funny. So I paid $325. I believe what was the MSRP? Maybe $250, maybe $300 back then. So $325, the $25 was tax. $300 was the price that I paid. So I think that's right in line with MSRP. Would I pay more than MSRP? See, when it gets to $300, that's really a cutoff for a lot of these really harder to find stuff, or just any stuff in general. I really do not like going above that price point. But I would probably pay $350 if it was the first release. But now these subsequent releases, I'm not even maybe paying MSRP. I'm kind of questioning if it's going to be worth it. Like the 13 releases, I passed up on because that's up to $230. I don't think that's worth it. But if I was able to find the first 15 release, and I know I don't think we've had another one since, I would pay up to $350, but not really a penny more. That would be a little bit too much. But again, another excellent bottle. I just hate, I know hate is a strong word, the MSRP on that specific bottle there, because that has the highest MSRP on any of these bottles on this list here today. And some could argue it's not anywhere as good as some of the bottles already here. So that leaves us with 1 bottle left. It's going to be George T. Stagg. So although this is the 2022 release, the 69.35% ABV or 138.7 proof, really, I would say this goes for any of the George T. Staggs in recent times, including the 2019 one, which was sub 60% ABV, 120 proof. what I really like about George T. Staggs is that even though this is almost hazmat, this stuff drinks like 58% ABV. It's really crazy what they're able to do with this bottle. As you can see, this being the last bottle, I haven't really included any of the Rip Van Winkle stuff on this list, because I do believe, maybe excluding the 10 and the 15, there's not much value in those. When you get up to 20 and 23, yes, still enjoyable, but are they really worth the 300, 400, 500 price tags, even at MSRP? I don't believe they are, which is why they're not on this list. The true value is really in the antique collection, and this goes for the George T. Stagg. The George T. Stagg is the one that you're going to see the most. If you're fortunate enough to find any of these antique collections, you'll probably get the George T. Stagg, and you'll probably have landed on one of the better bottles. I would say the William Ruel is probably the best one, and then I would say the George T. Stagg is probably the second best in my humble opinion. Again, really awesome mouthfeel, big buffalo chase, vanilla, cherry, caramel, a bunch of really great wood notes. There has been maybe 1 or 2 occasions I've had a Stagg Junior that has come close to a George T. Stagg. Maybe there's 1 or 2 bottles that I've had that I could be like, okay, if this was a George T. Stagg, it would be very good. However, the difference now has never been bigger between the two. If you're picking up a Stagg Junior and thinking that you're kind of just drinking a George T. Stagg, sadly to tell you, it's not the same. A George T. Stagg is just much more elite, and the age statement would suggest that, with a lot of these, I believe, coming close to like 15 years old or 12, somewhere in the lines there. And they're very, very good. The wood presence is there, and it's so well balanced, so well approachable. And like I said, for the ABV and the proof, it's pretty crazy what you're able to achieve with a bottle of whiskey that makes stuff so drinkable. And it's quite dangerous in that aspect as well, because you might be having a couple of glasses, and before you know it, it's like you're being hit over the head with a tennis racket or a baseball bat. It can definitely creep up on you. How much would I pay for this? So I paid for this bottle $125. Very happy that I was able to get it for that. And again, much like a lot on this list, I would probably cap out around $300. Secondaries actually come down quite a bit, so you might be able to see them for sub $500. Again, I wouldn't pay that for it unless you needed something for a very specific occasion and you really wanted like a really great bottle to celebrate, like a wedding or a birth of a child. Then I will let you decide on what you want to do with your own money. So I could see that which one of those bottles on this list would I pay that $500 for. For a very special occasion, it would probably be these 5 out of 6, right? I don't necessarily think that the old Fitzgerald's is worth going up there. Yes, I don't want to pay more than any of these on MSRP, and like I said, there's some I would pay more than others for, but if it's a very special occasion and you know how much money you have to spend on something, then I would say, you make your own decision on that. Really like I keep saying that I really like these, and then I keep looking at these, and then I love them all. You're probably thinking, there might be a lot of whiskey that I hadn't talked about, but I can only talk about my own experiences. I have this awesome small community and whiskey channel that doesn't really give me the capacity to just like receive bottles from different distilleries, or to be able to get allocated bottles thrown at me all the time. That just doesn't happen for me. I have to put a lot of work into getting these bottles, and I have to like hustle quite a lot. I go to a lot, like hundreds of, maybe even, I would say I go to 1,000 liquor stores a year to be able to kind of get stuff that I'm able to bring down here, drink and enjoy with friends. Every single bottle that you see on this list here today, I've had the pleasure of sharing with other people. I would say that the amount of whiskey that is missing from each bottle, I probably have drunk less than half. And I think that is what whiskey is all about. Yes, you pay a little bit more sometimes for these bottles than you'd like to, but it's the memories that you're able to create with those stories. Can you put a price tag on that? Well, some of these distilleries did, I guess, but only you can answer that question, is what I'm going with. So as we drink through the whiskeys, one glass at a time, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Zbiotics for sponsoring today's video.